Welcome to Free to Thrive in Work and Life. Hi, I'm your host, Pascal Landriot, a career and quality of life coach, helping you create a fulfilling career and life. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting here with Kathryn Wiese at Taksu Spa in Bali, a true wellness and healing haven. As you can see, a bit of it in the background. Now, Kate is a sound healer. She has transformed her life by integrating a lot of her passions. And it all started with a long-standing love affair with music. So, Kate, could you tell us a bit about where your journey began and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I was raised in a musical family. My mom was a barbershop singer, and she was directing choruses and performing in barbershop groups. She was very talented with her voice and played the piano. She taught me music from an early age. We always had music in the house.
Kate, could you tell us exactly what a barbershop singer is?
Well, barbershop is a style of music that came out of America, and it's based on four-part harmony. It's a cappella, so no instruments, and there were large groups, and there were also quartets. There were choruses and quartets, and my mom was a part of both of them. She directed a chorus, and they were in competitions, and so I remember growing up hearing that music all the time. She would be practicing, and I'd go to her concerts, and it's very rich and classical style of.
So that was kind of your first introduction to music.
Yeah, it was really prevalent in the house. They would play music a lot, Carole King and Steely Dan, and really great
Carole
stuff.
King. She's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so my mom would have records playing while I was playing at home, and she'd be cleaning the house, and so I remember that. She would sing to me, my grandmother would sing to me. We were able to take music lessons. My mom actually taught me piano. It was interesting, though, because I found learning from my mom was very difficult because, it's your mom. It's not, it was very different when I had.
Imagine for your mom, I couldn't see myself teaching my kids piano. It must take a lot of patience.
Yeah, and she had patience with me, but I was always saying, wait, because I'd want to get it perfect. I was a perfectionist at an early age and really had a high standard of how I wanted myself to play, and I was the type that wanted to be able to play, a Mozart before I could actually learn the basics, simple songs. So I really enjoyed playing by ear, and I spent a lot of time just making up my own songs on the piano, and that continued throughout school. I took instruments in elementary school. I had the chance to play in the band, and I started out on percussion. And my brother also played percussion. He was a drummer. And at one point I remember thinking, I don't really want to do the same thing my brother's doing. So I switched to saxophone, and I was really inspired when I heard the Amherst Saxophone Quartet. They played classical music, and they just really opened my mind to the possibility of sound with the saxophone. And Kenny G was becoming popular at the time, which I went to one of his concerts, and as a young girl was just in awe. So I continued with the saxophone, and I studied music in elementary school all the way up through high school, and I was in every group possible. The marching band, I ended up directing, being a drum major in the marching band. I also played in the marching band, jazz ensemble, symphonic band. We had a composer's workshop, and we wrote our own music, and we jam, and then we actually went into the recording studio. And I had an amazing music teacher at that time who really encouraged that creativity. I actually was considering going into sound recording, and then decided to, it was with persuasion of my mom and logical thinking, do you really want to spend your late night hours, recording until 4 in the morning, when you could do something else, like become a music teacher, and you'd have summers off, and these were things that my mom was
and you'd
sharing.
have security.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. So that's what I decided to do. I went to the university for music education, and I studied to become an instrumental teacher, but it was interesting because that's not what I got. It was hard to find that position in the area where I was. So it was basically take what you can get. So I taught general music classes and chorus. And I wasn't really going down the choral path, even though my mom was a choral director. But my heart was with instruments and collaborating with other musicians in that way. So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the music with the kids. I had grades 3 through 6, and I also taught some middle school and high school briefly. And eventually I got the instrumental. I was directing choruses as well, and my mom was my greatest resource in that.
So you were really touching your passion, not maybe quite at its fullest,
Right.
but you were on the path of music. There was that seed that had been
Yes.
planted from being small.
Yes. Yeah.
And then how did it evolve?
Well, I was in this element of I just really loved working with the kids. My heart was really so connected to children and watching them grow. And step into their full potential. I took my master's in special education, so I always had this kind of therapy need to heal, to crack the code of kids who have these disabilities and figure out what helps them, meet their potential. So I was trying to meet the needs of the children. I had a mix of kids of multiple levels and abilities. And in the general music classes, I was trying to reach the kids who were more challenging and at risk and inspire them. And because of my connection to the broader picture of music, the healing aspects of that, I would bring in singing bowls in the classroom and talk to them about vibration. And we do meditation in the class, especially around test time. And they would come in and they'd say, "Miss Wiese, are we going to do meditation today?" And they'd actually get in the position. Some of them would just come in the room and
wow.
sit. Yeah.
So you started earlier on getting familiar with the bowls and all of the instruments that we see behind us.
Yeah, I was drawn to that early on. I really wanted to know the power of music. I've always been curious about, I guess, interested in physics and those broader conscious sciences. Quantum physics is one of my passions now, of exploring and really trying to get a deeper understanding of what this reality is. And it's vibration. Everything's vibration. And sharing that with the kids and with the intention of opening their minds to something greater, bigger than what schools were teaching. It's all about the books and this is,
Yeah, and the notes.
Yeah,
and,
the notes. So I was integrating that, slipping that into my curriculum, early on. And at the time, I was studying different forms of philosophy and Taoism and Buddhism, and reading a lot of books on sound healing and mysticism of sound. That was really it was a side of the music education part. I was so involved with my job, but that was something that was really fueling me. And I think it was the seed of it was there early on. And actually the kids in my classroom had said things about that. Like they would interact with me and look at me like, Miss Wiese, there's something about you. It's almost like they didn't see me as a music teacher.
They helped you bring this out, this out in you, like the more than music part, right?
Yeah, they did. They really did. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. It was a process of discovery. I was something that I really was curious and thought, well, maybe I'll go into music therapy at some point. But it was kind of like, well, I'd already done my my bachelor's in music education and felt like, okay, this is pretty intense, and maybe I could do, if I couple it with special education, then that is helping me with the music education part, and I can kind of do some sort of music therapy and tailor my lessons in a music therapy sort of way to these kids. So instead of going back to it for an entirely different degree, but it's been there. It's really been running parallel to what was happening in my life at the time.
And then what happened after the kids? I'm curious to know, and I'm sure our friends watching are too.
Yeah, I became so involved in trying to keep the music program afloat, and at the time they were cutting positions, and there was a lot put on the number of teachers that we had. So I had general music classes, choral groups, and instrumental lessons, and a band that was added towards the end. And of course, the state was putting on all these demands on teachers, and with the testing and No Child Left Behind and everything like that, which affected our music programs. The teachers weren't allowing them to come to the class, to their music lessons, but yet we still had to have a program, and that was the way. If the parents saw their kids up there, that was the way to keep the program going, and the numbers of kids in the program. So it was a lot of effort for me in trying to balance what was imposed with administration and keep that love and passion and creativity there, which the creativity was really limited. Yeah. So I became quite burned out, and I got I was reflecting, I got the idea that I don't think I'm going to retire in this profession, but I thought, what could I do next? I really didn't know. I was working through some things at the time, my own healing and painting a lot, using art therapy, ceramics and wood carving, and just creating with mixed media, painting mainly, to heal myself, and meditating and going deeper into spiritual practice. And I was drawn to a different life. It was slowly fading out. But yet there were the golden handcuffs of, I have a great salary now. There's retirement, there's security, I had a house, I had a nice life there. I was near my parents, which I'm very connected to. So,
Hard.
Tough decision.
Yeah, tough decision. And so how did you actually take the leap? Or I guess you did, because you're here, right?
Yeah, I'm here in Bali now for almost 3.5 years now. It was a process. I'm not one to just, let's just do it now. I need to make sure that I have these things lined up so that I have a safety net. So I was considering changing careers, but felt the need that in the meantime, while I was figuring it out, I would work and save up money so that I could make the shift. My partner at the time was going to Bali to do underwater video, and I took a vacation, summer vacation, and went to visit her, and we both really loved it here, and I remember going back to work. Yeah, I remember going back to work in September, and feeling so different, and just the pace of life.
Going back to work at school.
Yeah, back to my job in New York, and the pace of life here, and the simplicity, and the beautiful surroundings, and the energy here in Bali was just so, it had gotten me. And so I went back and I decided to take the first half of the year and really focus on saving money, putting it away. I had gone back and forth with, should I just do it and then sell my house and put it on the market? And I had such a connection to my home that I just put new windows in, and the garden was developing. I love gardening. And so it was almost like, not yet, because I want to enjoy my house and do a little bit more in my garden, and and the kids too. It was a whole, how am I going to let go? I mean, when I told them, they said, "Oh, Miss Wiese, we're going to miss you. Can we come to Bali?" It was all these, my heartstrings were pulled, and I was very connected.
Yeah, so you have to wait until the fruit is ripe for you.
Yeah.
Pick it.
Yeah.
So how did the decision happen, or how did you make the decision?
Very carefully. It took some time, but I decided that I was going to teach for the first half of the year and really save money, take a leave of absence, an unpaid leave of absence, and see what it was really like to live there and be there for several months before I decided to sell my house and everything and actually resign. When I was in Bali at the end of June, the end of the school year, I got a letter from my superintendent asking me if I was going to come back in September. And it took me maybe a couple of days, I guess, before I could really say, nope, I'm not coming back. Once I made that decision and I sent that letter, I felt an enormous relief. Like it was the best decision I could have made for myself, and I've never regretted it. I've never looked back and thought, I wish I had done that. And
That's
stayed.
often the way it happens, just moving up to the decision, and then once the decision is made, it's like,
Yeah.
and then that's how you know whether you've made the right decision also.
Yes,
If you feel relieved afterwards, that's...
It's true. It's true. I knew it was right. I could feel it. I've never been questioning it. Never have I questioned, should I have stayed? And it was interesting, actually, after I made that decision, I was working with kids here in Bali, not working, but just spending time with them and playing with them and creating things out of upcycling things with them. And I thought, do I want to do something like teaching here? And I actually, after a while, I couldn't even do that. It brought the stress of having to plan and having to fit into the system and the routine and everything. And I think I was just at such a point energetically that I couldn't do it anymore.
You had it with teaching.
Yeah,
that
I
was
had
it.
to stop. I didn't, I mean, I love kids still, but I had no interest in teaching them anything, not even how to tie their shoes, It was just no more kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And the music, actually, in the same way. Music, I stepped away from as well.
Oh, yeah. So you
here.
stepped away from both. You had to, and music and the kids.
Yeah. I wasn't interested in teaching music here to kids. I didn't feel that was what I was meant to do anymore, really. It wasn't, when I thought of doing that actual activity, it made me feel not good inside at all. I'd get upset stomach and just this, ugh, no thank you. But
So that's a good example of following your gut.
yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually with the gut. I found myself getting sick a lot in the school system back home when I was teaching. Towards the end, I needed a lot of time off and balancing, and I would
Yeah.
get,
Our body
our
holds a
body's
lot
telling.
of wisdom.
Yes, yes.
We don't always listen to it, but
Yeah, that's true.
And so after you were here and you were basically doing nothing, it's like your old life was behind you.
Yeah.
How did you start building your new life?
Well, there was an organization, charity, NGO, that is called Trash Hero, and they are amazing. Trash Hero is starting to pop up all over.
What is Fresh Hero exactly?
Trash Hero is an NGO, a non-profit government organization that was developed to deal with the trash problem that's in Asia. Mainly it started in Thailand, but they came to Bali and saw all the rubbish in the water and wanted to address the problem and on the island itself. So we got involved in that. And through that organization, they had a summit, a meeting with multiple chapters in the area at a place called Pyramids of Chi.
Yes.
And that's a magical place there. They do sound healing there.
Yeah, there are pyramids in the middle of the rice fields, not too far from Ubud, an amazing place. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do sound healing and ceremonies and.
Yeah. So I went there for a Trash Hero Summit and walked into the place and was in awe, astonished by the beauty and the uniqueness of the space, and really felt a connection. And I could actually see myself playing there at some point. I don't know. I just said to myself, "Wow, it'd be great to work here."
And playing what, for example? Because they're not traditional musical instruments that are there.
Right. There's gongs. They have gongs. They have singing bowls, the Himalayan bowls, the metal bowls, and some drums and different instruments. But,
Okay.
yeah. I went back to Ahmed and continued my life with working on myself. I studied Reiki Tummo and actually quantum healing, matrix energetics. Was playing with that and just really working on myself and trying to find what it was that would really fit what I really wanted to do. I still hadn't figured that out yet, but I felt like in time it would come, and it was really about allowing myself to have that space to shift in my own time and pace, in my own manner, because I couldn't figure it out. It was not a mental process, and it ended up being one of these kind of synchronistic events where we had another summit at Pyramids of Chi several months later, and my partner I didn't go at the time, but my partner was there, and they were looking for gong players. And she said, "What about Kate? She has a musical background. She's played music all her life. She's been doing healing arts and other spiritual modalities. I don't even know if that's the right word, but she really advocated for me and they said, yeah, we'd love to meet her, and we met, and it was just a great connection. And they said, yes, we want you on our team. And so for me, playing was very natural. It was an innate combination of my skills.
So had you had any experience before playing gong, or?
Yes.
Okay.
In teaching,
Yeah.
like for orchestral settings, but not as a healing tool. I knew it was out there, but I hadn't trained in that. I went to the States. I was actually about to fly home, and it happened to be that there was this training with an amazing gong master in New York, in the Catskills, and I was like, okay, I'm going. I have to do this. It was perfect, and I had so many other things fall into place after that in the same way. It just is all lined up.
So it must have taken courage to kind of almost accept a position that you didn't necessarily feel that you were qualified in, but it was like as we say in French, élan du cœur, it was like a calling,
Yeah,
right?
it was. It was very much a calling, and it felt like it was possible, even though it was out of my comfort zone. It was not the area that I had been working in, for many years. But because I had that over 16 years of music background, and then this intuitive connection of and knowledge of healing in other ways, that I just was able to bring it together. And then taking the trainings, and I studied with a gong master from India, Sanjay Hall, and then I took some training with on bowl therapies in India with Maya Dami at the Maya Healing School. And so and have been reading and practicing daily. I bought this gong, the Chiron gong, from my teacher. He brought it here to Bali for the training, and I ended up acquiring it. Yeah. And so I've been playing that gong every day ever since, and for myself, for the environment, for the people here in Bali, for everything, for this space. So, yeah.
So now you went, and then you went from Pyramids of She to here at Taksu Spa, where you practice the sound healing with groups.
Yes.
I was very lucky to participate in your group yesterday, and it was just a great experience. I think you were mentioning to me that it can, different people can have, different experiences, and, depending on, I guess, where you're at in your life and everything else. But
very much, what you can, yeah, it's always amazing. I mean, I realize, of course, it makes sense that everyone has their own personal experience, but to hear the stories and what
are some
happens.
of the benefits that you've heard or that you've witnessed, or that maybe clients or participants have shared with you of sound healing? I know that we could go on for a long time on it, but maybe, I don't know, 3.
Well, I guess one of the major things that stands out, comes to mind first, is we have this beautiful, lovely man here. He's an architect. He's actually building more rooms, sound healing rooms here. He's had trouble sleeping, and he could not sleep, get 8 hours of sleep a night. He came to one session, and he had a profound experience, transformative experience, and was able to sleep through the night, and hasn't had insomnia since.
Wow.
And that has totally changed his life, as we know the power of sleep, and his relationships with people now as well. So that's been a major one. I've had people who have released major things that they've been holding on to, traumas, and they've had people show up who have passed on in the session as part of the healing, and they've been able to reconnect them. Actually, parents have come in and said, we're sorry, we had to leave, and just so that grief can be released. There's been amazing insights and solutions that have been found where a person was wrestling with a problem, an issue they had in their business, and had all these ideas coming to them, and so light and excited and happy after the session.
And how has it helped you in some ways?
Oh, it's been such an amazing deepening of my spiritual connection. It's really showed me things about myself and taken me to on a deeper level, giving me a broader awareness of how this reality is, or multiple realities. It's aligned me vibrationally with I think what I really want, what's at the heart of me. That's been amazing, actually, on this journey, is how the alignment has been with things falling into place. I feel like it's like assisting me, supporting me on my journey, and allowing things to unfold, and me to let go of the things that are holding me back, and stepping into.
So it's amazing that the thing that helped you get aligned with yourself is what you're doing now to help others.
Yeah.
And and I guess every time that you do a group session, something new comes up for you too, and it's
Yes.
like peeling off the layers, as they say, right?
Definitely. Yes.
So how has this instrument playing, gong playing, sound healing, how has it helped you in your journey, in your transformation?
I think it's really given me a deeper connection to Source, but not only that, it's given me this ability to trust the process and trust what comes out in a session, but also in life, and not having to control things, not having to work so hard to make it happen. I bring that into the playing the sessions. It's not about force. It's about surrendering and allowing the intelligence of the vibrations to go where they need to go. It's about, in my life, surrendering and allowing things to come into my life at divine timing, with the divine orchestrator, not me trying to make it happen and, okay, I have to do all this work and make connections with these people, and, effort, so much effort. It doesn't need to be about so much effort.
It's about being in the vibrational energy so that you can kind of attract
Yes.
the right circumstances or the right people, or
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really key. I found keeping my vibration high, staying in love and peace and that blissful state of appreciation and gratitude, I believe that that's what's bringing these things to me, and these beautiful people that are coming here. We're at the same resonance, and sharing what I can give to them. They're looking for that the person to help them in the way that I do, from the heart. It's about the relationship with the people too. It's not about the sound healing necessarily. It's more than that. It's the connection to people, and honoring them, and allowing them to be in this space and be vulnerable, and supporting them and holding the space for them.
So to close off, what would be your advice to someone for them to be able to better thrive in their career and life, from what you've gone through on your journey?
Yeah, I feel it's so important to connect with yourself. So if you can find ways to connect with yourself and find what you truly resonate with, what really inspires you, what makes you feel good, then follow that. Follow your heart. That's my main advice, is just really follow your heart, because it's connected to a higher intelligence. We don't have to be so mental about our lives. Let your heart lead the way. Yeah. And things fall into place. They come together. And the trusting. It's really important to trust. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you, Pascal.
On a final note, could you give us a final note?
Sure, I'd love to.
Thank you, everyone, for being present, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you. Wow, that's powerful.
It goes on and on. So stay in the high vibration.